Well, practice has gone, fairly well. Florida is a very difficult preparation. They do a lot of things. They have a lot of good players, but our players have had pretty good focus, and we're solving more problems every day. And we worked indoors really more because of the weather than anything else. I mean, it's kind of a playing inside, so why not? If the weather's bad outside, which it has been bad 2 out of the last 3 days, and the fields were wet the other day, so that's basically, what we're doing. And we're just, our players have done a great job of creating an opportunity for themselves relative to what they accomplished this season and what they have an opportunity to do playing probably, if not the best team in the country, certainly one of the best teams in the country. And it's a challenge, and I hope everybody is really looking forward to it. It's a great competitive venue to be involved in, and I think that, our players are looking forward to it. Mark Ingram practiced today and was fine. Corey Reamer practiced today and was fine. We got some nicks and bruises, but I think everybody's ready to go and able to practice, and nobody was out of practice today.
Nick, a two-parter about Bill Belichick, if you don't mind. One, could you just talk a little bit about what you've taken from him, both coaching under him and having a rapport with him over the years? And,
right.
And two, he and Urban are also fairly close. Knowing those two as well as you do, can you see how they would get along?
Well, I know Bill a whole lot better because I worked with him for 4 years, worked for him for 4 years, and I probably learned as much in those 4 years in my coaching career as any time in terms of, Bill has fantastic organization. He's got unbelievable work ethic and attention to detail. Everything in the organization is defined for everyone, I mean, the old saying, do your job. Well, he just doesn't say it. He defines it, what he expects from everybody in the organization, and certainly everybody understands, where they are, and I think that's why he's had so much success, is everybody understands what they're supposed to do and why it's important to do it that way. And I guess philosophically, that's probably the greatest thing I learned from him. From a football standpoint, learned a tremendous amount as well, and certainly he has been a good friend, and I'm proud to say that even though we were rivals in the same division for 2 years, never did it have any effect on our friendship or anything else. So even though we competed against each other all the time, we never lost our respect for each other as friends, and always talked after every game that we played. And I certainly appreciate his friendship, and I'm certainly happy for him for all the success that he's had. And he's been a great mentor to me. Urban, I other than being a coach in this league, I really don't know that much about him. I told the story the other day about when I got my first head coaching job way back when, 1991 or 90 or whenever it was. He was a graduate assistant and called the house and talked to my wife and was looking for a job. And my wife actually did tell me that you should hire this guy. He's really a good guy, and he's an interesting guy. And she was right about that, and she lets me know every now and then that she was right. Not just about that, but quite a few things.
Coach, with the Carlos Dunlap situation, him not playing in the game, how does that change your preparation and game plan?
Well, I don't really think it changes much at all because they have a lot of good players, and they played extremely well on defense without some of their other good players at times this year. And I think they have such a good group, and they have so much experience, and they've played together for so long, and they have good depth on their team that someone else will step in and do a very, very good job, for them. And I don't think it really changes. I mean, he's an outstanding player, and we certainly there was attention to where he was and what he was doing and how we were going to block him. But we also have a lot of respect for their other players, and whoever takes his place, I'm sure, would be doing the same assignments and the same job that he would do. So I don't really think it has a big effect. I think our overall concern is, the quality of their entire group, and how we're going to manage that.
Coach, I wanted to ask you about the shovel pass to Hernandez that Florida likes to run. They really did some damage on Florida State last week with that. Just talk about the difficulty of defending that inside pitch.
Well, they have done damage on a lot of people, with that. And they scored either scored a touchdown or almost scored a touchdown on us last year, with it. And it's a great misdirection play. It's a power play, basically, but the quarterback has, several options. Sometimes when they create a pitch man, and it usually is a misdirection play opposite of where their running strength is because he's the tight end. So it's hard to keep that kind of balance in your defense, and it's certainly a challenge to get enough people in position to be able to play that play. They also run it in passing situations, especially long yardage, and, when they're in empty. So you got people spread out all over the field, and they let the guys rush, and their 5 guys block whoever's got him, and it's really a good play. It's really, and they do a good job with it, and they execute it extremely well, and it is difficult to defend.
Coach, I was just curious what your thoughts might be on Bobby Bowden stepping down yesterday at Florida State, and are you also, I'm sure you would pay tribute to the career he had, but are you also happy for Jimbo Fisher now that he has that opportunity?
Well, first of all, Coach Bowden is probably one of the guys that I have the most respect for of anyone in our profession. I would say probably him and Joe Paterno. And I think the professionalism that they've brought to the game, the success that they've had through the years, and the quality of people and the way they treat other people, I think is a great example for all of us, from a professionalism standpoint, a quality person standpoint. Obviously, the success that he's had, few of us will ever have the opportunity to match. So tremendous amount of respect for accomplishments and the way it was accomplished. Never killing the other guy, we recruited against Florida State for years, and never did I ever hear a bad word from them about us. And, I've told the story many times about 35 years ago when my dad died. I'm a graduate assistant at Kent State. My mother's struggling a little bit. Coach Bowden's the head coach at West Virginia. I don't know him from Adam's house cat. He calls me on the phone and said, "I knew your dad. Sorry he passed away. I know your mom's struggling a little bit. Do you want to come to West Virginia and be a graduate assistant? I'll have a spot for you if you want to do that, so you can come home." Now, how many people would do that? How many coaches would do that? So, there's nobody else that I have more respect for, personally, professionally, and for the significance of their accomplishments than Coach Bowden. I'm also happy for Jimbo Fisher, who is a colleague who we worked together for 5 years. He did a fabulous job for me, for us, at LSU, and being the offensive coordinator. And, I think he's got all the right stuff to be a good head coach. And, I know he's turned down other opportunities to stay there, to have the opportunity at Florida State, and we're extremely happy and pleased that he has the opportunity. And I'm sure he'll do a great job there.
The Super Six is here this week, first time that's happened. What's your involvement, your staff's involvement in that, and is there a
I'm going to go over and
recruiting
speak to
opportunity?
everybody here in a few minutes. And, we're participating in a clinic. It's very difficult for us to participate in any large degree with, what we have going on. But, we were very supportive to get the Super Six here. I think it's great for the University of Alabama. I think it's great for all the players to have the opportunity to play. I grew up wanting to play in Mountaineer Stadium. I was a kid. I threw the ball to myself in the yard and thought I was playing, and, all that stuff. And I'm sure a lot of kids grow up in Alabama wanting to either play in Alabama Stadium or Auburn Stadium or whatever. And they won't all get a chance to get recruited at those schools, but a lot of them will get a chance to play here if their team has had success. And I think it's special for all the participants. And I think it's great to have this many people come to the University of Alabama and be a part of, something that is like the Super Six. It's football that, sees our stadium, sees our facilities, sees our place, and I think it's great for both sides, and we're extremely pleased and happy to have it here, and want to be as supportive as possible of helping it be successful.
Is it a recruiting opportunity?
Based on what we're doing, it's really illegal for us to be talking to any of those players, and we're not going to be able to go to the games. I think the recruiting opportunity is the place sells itself to some degree when people see it. So it may be indirect, but we're glad to have all the good teams here.
Last year's game, the defensive players wore wristbands to give them a little help. Is that mostly just because Florida's offense is so diverse and does so many different things?
Well, I've never been a big wristband guy, and it sure didn't help us much in that game. So, they got to look on their wristband to see what they're supposed to do. I think we're in trouble, especially when you don't know what the other team's going to do, and their multiples are in the hundreds. We have 162 pages of formation hits. That's a record. That's the different formations they do. Forget about the plays. And just the formations.
Coach, you're headed into this game for historic second year in a row, and I was just wondering, I know each team each year has a different identity. Looking back on this team, particularly in the regular season, what are you most proud of?
Well, I think that, last year's team, I was really proud of the fact that, they didn't know who they were, and they didn't know how good they could be. And they sort of found themselves along the way and wanted to prove something and really worked hard to do that. There was a lot of togetherness. We had good leadership. This year's team has been more that they almost have to be good because they want to be good. It's more what you talk about all the time. Try to be as good as you can be, have pride in your performance, do the best that you can. Because there really was no sort of external motivator to say we want to go out and prove that we're better than average. Every team has to prove that. And I would say that is a much more difficult thing for a team to do. And I guess if there's one thing I'm proud of, it's that the team was able to do that and play with the consistency that we played with. Even though there was a couple games that we didn't play as well as others, we were still able to make the plays in those games that we needed to make to win. So I'm pleased and proud, of that. I'd say if there was an individual thing that I'd probably be most proud of what the team did, it was the way they finished the last game. Under the circumstances, in the situation, both sides of the ball. The defense, the last series, gained some valuable field position by a couple losses and a sack, and then the offense going for 79 yards in a drive that, and it wasn't like there was a bunch of big plays in the drive. It was a 15-play drive that was well executed and a lot of successful plays and a lot of people involved in all those plays and some critical third down situations. So under the circumstances, I said before we went there that I thought that if we beat Auburn at Auburn, that would be our most significant accomplishment as a team. And even though I don't think that we played as well as we're capable of playing, I still believe that, and especially the way we did it. Getting behind in a game, coming back in a game, showing resiliency, and actually finishing the way we did.